Go and welcome to Reading with Drew. And we are currently on Perloo the Bold with Avi. I guess it's pronounced Avi, not AVI. I don't know. I still haven't figured it out. And we are currently on chapter 11, In the Kitchen. So let's see what happens. I bet there's food. Anyway, here we go. Which way now? A breathless Perloo asked Lucabara when they reached the lowest level of the burrow. Dark and dank, dripping slime. The tunnel ceilings were so low that Perloo's ears brushed against them, causing damp earth to trickle on his head. Lucabara stood in place, tweaking her ears, sniffing with her blue nose turning in one direction, then another. They'll be coming soon, Perloo reminded her, certain that Berwig or one of his warriors was going to hop out from around the next corner every moment. This way, Lucabara said. It took a good while to work their way through a maze of small and large tunnels. Their variety, complexity, and age amazed Perloo. Some tunnels, the smooth ones, seemed to be well used. Others were rough, full of rubble, poorly lit. When Lucabara came to a large oaken door, she stopped. This leads to the burrow kitchen, she said. Perloo sniffed. The savory scents made his empty stomach growl. On the far side of the kitchen, Lucabara explained, there's an entryway that gets you into a passage. A large chest sits there. Behind that chest is a door that leads directly outside. It hasn't been used in years, so it's not likely to be guarded. But Perloo, she warned, the kitchen will be full of cooks. It's Berwig I'm worried about, Perloo muttered, ruffling his whiskers. Perloo, Lucabara said with thinly veiled annoyance. If Berwig has any brains, or if his friend Cineas has any, they will have sent out a general alarm about you. Perloo eyed the door warily. Maybe we should go another way. It's too late, Perloo sighed. I guess I don't have any other choice but to trust you. Is that the best you can do? Lucabara snapped. Have no choice? No, I just mean there's no one else. Oh, dry dust. I didn't mean... Of course I trust you. Please, I'm very upset. Lucabara looked at him doubtfully. The head chef is named Vergink. I know him. He was one of Jolane's favorites. I'll do the explaining. Ready? When Perloo nodded, Lucabara pushed open the door and the two hopped into the kitchen. It was a long, low room with many bays filled with sacks, barrels, and boxes, all of which were stuffed with food. From the ceiling hung more food: yarrow, timothy, bastort, and sedge. Perloo saw goatweed, wheat, bedstraw, and ticklefoot, as well as his own favorite, scarlet false mellow. Heaps of dried mushrooms and corn were everywhere. Behind tables, 10 cooks were hard at work, busily preparing food, chopping, pounding, and grinding, producing pleasing clatter and tempting aromas. Trying to ignore his hunger, Perloo tried for the entryway that would allow them to escape. As Lucabara had said, it was on the far side of the kitchen. Hey there, you two, what do you want? The demand came from a squat, muscular Montmer who had been hopping about the room inspecting the work of others. Chef Vergink, Lucabara murmured under her breath. The chef was a stout, middle-aged Montmer who carried himself with bulky swagger. His face was florid, with fuzzy, dust-covered broad ears. His whiskers were unusually large, sweeping to either side of his face like horns of a mountain goat. His thick-set legs, bare to the knees, stuck out from beneath his rabbit-skin smock. But what had struck Perloo most about Vergink were his arms. They bulged with muscle, no doubt from the making of brebe, the roasted cake of wheat, water, and honey that was a Montmer staple. Lucabara pulled down her left ear. Perloo hastened to do the same. I'm sorry to trouble you, Chief Vergink, Lucabara said, but we were asked to bring some refreshments above. The chief folded his massive arms over his stout chest and looked sourly at Lucabara. What for? He growled. Jolane, Lucabara said. The chef's look softened immediately. Ah, I know you, he said. You're Lucabara, aren't you? Granter Jolane's first assistant. Lucabara merely nodded. How's the old Granter? Vergink asked. The toughness fled from his face and voice. Any better? She's at peace, Lucabara replied. Glancing at her, Perloo detected a slight change of nose hue. Vergink broke into a smile. Anything to oblige, Jolane. By Magua, I worry about what's going to happen when she's gone. That Berwig. He shook his head. Tip, he called. Get a bowl of whisk broom parsley mix with equal parts of chopped cheatgrass brome. And you, Nangber, decant a cup of silk tassel tea. Hot or cold? Asked one named Dangber. She was young, hardly more than a cub. She looked questionably at Lucabara. Warm, Lucabara said quickly. Of course warm, Fergang replied, giving the order across the room. That's the way Jolene always takes it. Please make yourself comfortable, he said to Lucabara before continuing with the supervision of the cooks. That was clever, Baloo whispered. Just keep your ears up, Lucabara replied in an equally low voice, and be ready to hop it if we have to. Perloo tried to stay watchful, but found it hard while aching with hunger. At the first opportunity, when no one was looking, he grabbed a chunk of prebe and bolted it down. He was trying to figure out how he could get more when he heard Lucabara whisper, "Oh no, look out!" Two armed warriors had come through the main door. One of them had been part of the trio who had escorted Perloo from the Great Hall to the jail. The warriors hopped into the room and snapped their pikes upon the ground, making a sharp crack-like sound. The cooks stopped their work. Simultaneously, Lucabara and Perloo dropped behind some nearby sacks. Holding their ears down, they peeked out. "Attention, attention," cried one of the warriors. "A proclamation by the new grantor." He lifted a scroll and began to read. "It is hereby announced that Grantor Jolene has been murdered in her bed. A long, happy rule is over." A cry of horror rose from the cooks. "How horrible! Awful!" Two cooks burst into tears and had to console another. As for Fergink, he made a swift, furious glance in the direction of Perloo and Lucabara before returning his attention to the warriors. The warrior continued to read from the proclamation. "Berwig, Jolene's son, following tribe laws and traditions, has swiftly and rightfully assumed the title of Grantor, taking on the full responsibility for running the tribe. Order will be maintained. The ceremony in which he becomes Grantor will take place after the normal mourning period of 2 weeks. The evil one who perpetrated his ghastly deed, may his name be mud in the mouth, is Perloo. He is being vigorously hunted. It is only a matter of time before he'll be brought to judgment. Grantor Berwig is offering a reward to the one who catches him. Justice will be fair, swift, and deadly. Furthermore, because of the crisis this terrible act has precipitated, Grantor Berwig, in his wisdom, has suspended all tribal freedoms and liberties. This will make the transition period simple, calm, and effective. From now on, rules, laws, regulations, judgments, and mercy will come solely from Grantor Berwig." This news brought shock to those in the room. Even Lucabara and Perloo exchanged looks of surprise. "Come on now," the warrior demanded. "Let's hear a long hop for Grantor Berwig, for the new Grantor." There was a ragged, "Long hop for Grantor Berwig." "Let's put some feeling into it," the second warrior shouted. "Again!" He waved his pike like a baton. "Long hop for Grantor Berwig," came a louder, if not very much more enthusiastic cheer. "That's more like it," the warrior said. "Fergink!" cried the second warrior. The chief, frowning, pulled down his left ear. "Grantor Berwig wants a bowl of whisk broom parsley mix with an equal part of chopped cheatgrass brome and 2 bowls of congealed honey." To be sure, the parsley was Jolene's favorite, but Fergink stole another glance in the direction of Lucabara and Perloo. "It's already been ordered," he replied. Lucabara touched Perloo. "Get ready to bolt to the door. Just came through," she whispered into his ear. "Done well," the chief said to one of the cooks. "Would you mind shutting the back door and locking it?" "We're trapped," Perloo whispered to Lucabara. "Tip," Fergink went on. "Nangber, did you do as you were asked before?" The two cooks hopped forward with their bowls, looked at Fergink, stole a quick, puzzled glance where Perloo and Lucabara had been, then turned back to the chef. "Hop on out of here," Fergink snapped. "The new Grantor is waiting." The warriors turned smartly and hopped out, followed by Tip and Nangber. Momentarily, Fergink stood looking after them. Then he went to the front door, effectively blocking it, and to his staff he said, "You've heard the terrible news about Jolene. I want you to take some time to think and reflect, or go search for the murderer if you prefer. Perhaps you'll get the reward. But go quickly. I want all of you out of here." There was a scurry as the cooks hopped out of the kitchen. As soon as they left, Fergink latched the front door. Then he turned to face the place where Perloo and Lucabara had hid. "All right, you two," he cried. "Come out from your hiding place." Almost got caught. I think he's going to help them. So I think Ferging's going to help him. I mean, he already did, really. So, that was a pretty good chapter. I was wondering where the kitchen would come from, but I wasn't quite sure. But yeah, that's where they escaped to. That makes sense. Then them just like going through a tunnel and a back door, and they're out. They kind of had to go through some confrontation first, I think, to get out. But I think Ferging's going to help them. We'll see though in the next chapter, because I think, let's see, chapter 12, Chef Ferging decides. So we're going to find out in the next chapter what happens. But I mean, he already helped them. He got everyone out, got the shoulders away. Shoulders. Soldiers. Warriors. So until next time on Dragon Ball. Reading with Drew will be chapter 12, Perloo the Bold. Abby. Have a good day. Meow.